Imagine driving through North Africa, passing mountains, following road signs written in Spanish, using the euro to pay for your coffee, and without ever leaving the African continent, you arrive in a city governed by Spain. At first, it may seem unusual. After all, Spain is almost always associated with Europe. So how did part of Spain end up across the Mediterranean? And if these cities are physically in Africa, why are they administered by Spain rather than Morocco? The answer may lie in centuries of changing borders, maritime trade, military strongholds, and historical events that shaped this coastline long before the modern map existed. Today, these two Spanish cities continue to attract attention for a reason. They sit on one continent while belonging to a country on another. And they continue to raise a simple question that maps alone may not fully answer. How did Spain end up here? And why is it still here today?
If you look at a map for just a few seconds, it's maybe easy to miss them. Ceuta and Melilla, two relatively small Spanish cities on the northern coast of Africa. They're separated from mainland Spain by the Mediterranean Sea, yet they're officially part of Spain. That may seem unusual at first, but geography often becomes more interesting when you look beyond the first impression. In fact, these cities are much closer to Morocco than they are to Madrid. Stand on one side of the border, and you're in Spain. Take only a few steps across, and you're in Morocco. It's one of the shortest crossings between Europe and Africa. Yet it also reflects centuries of geography, trade, and history meeting in one place. So before asking why Spain is here, it may help to first understand where here actually is.
Long before modern countries existed, this coastline was already one of the busiest places in the region. For thousands of years, merchants, sailors, and empires crossed these waters, not because they were searching for Africa, but because they were trying to reach somewhere else. The Mediterranean connected Europe, North Africa, and parts of Asia through some of history's busiest maritime routes. Anyone who could secure an important harbor along this coastline often gained an advantage over trade, travel, and naval movement. That made coastal cities far more than places to live. They became gateways. And gateways were rarely ignored for long. As different kingdoms and empires expanded across the region, control of these ports changed hands many times. By the end of the 15th century, Spain had begun looking south, not to control the entire continent, but to secure key positions along the Mediterranean coast. And that's where this story begins to take shape.
By the time Spain became involved, these cities already had a long history behind them. Different civilizations had settled here across different periods. Their location made them valuable long before modern borders existed. For centuries, control shifted as regional powers rose and declined. Then, toward the end of the 15th century, Spain began expanding beyond the Iberian Peninsula. Its goal wasn't to claim all of North Africa. Instead, it focused on securing a number of important coastal positions that could help protect maritime trade and strengthen its presence along the western Mediterranean. Melilla came under Spanish control in 1497. Ceuta followed later, becoming part of the Spanish crown in 1668 after Portugal recognized Spanish sovereignty through the Treaty of Lisbon. Although their paths were different, both cities eventually became part of Spain. And over time, they remained part of the country while much of the surrounding region changed.
History may explain how Spain arrived here, but it doesn't fully explain why these cities remain part of Spain today. The answer is more complicated. Over the centuries, Ceuta and Melilla gradually became integrated into Spain's administrative and legal system. Today, both are officially recognized as autonomous cities under Spanish law. They also form part of the European Union through Spain, although some EU rules apply differently because of their unique status. That combination makes them unusual. Geographically, they're on the African continent. Administratively, they're part of Spain. And legally, their status has developed through centuries of historical agreements and constitutional changes. Which means understanding these cities isn't just about looking into the past, it's also about understanding how geography and law sometimes evolve together. Walk through the streets of Ceuta or Melilla today, and the first impression may surprise some visitors. Modern roads, European-style public squares, Mediterranean architecture, busy commercial districts. At the same time, just beyond the city limits, the surrounding landscape immediately feels different. In only a short distance, the scenery changes, the architecture changes. Even the rhythm of everyday life may feel different. That's what makes these cities so unusual. They're not isolated islands. They're connected directly to mainland Africa. Yet they continue to operate as part of Spain. And that combination is difficult to find almost anywhere else in the world. As unusual as Ceuta and Melilla may seem, their geography isn't the only reason they attract attention. Their political status has also been discussed for many years. Spain considers both cities an integral part of its national territory. Morocco has, at different times, stated that it regards Ceuta and Melilla as part of its historical territory. These different positions have remained part of the broader diplomatic relationship between the two countries. At the same time, the cities continue to function under Spanish administration. People live there. Businesses operate. Schools open every morning. Ships arrive and depart. And daily life continues much like it does in many other coastal cities. So while discussions about their status continue through diplomatic channels, the cities themselves remain active, modern communities. Perhaps that's what makes them so fascinating. They're not simply places on a map. They're places where geography, history, and modern administration all meet in the same location. At first glance, a map can make the world look simple. One country ends, another begins. A border appears, and everything seems neatly organized. But geography isn't always that straightforward. Some borders reflect mountains, others follow rivers, and some exist because of decisions made centuries ago. Ceuta and Melilla are examples of that complexity. Their location can be understood with geography. Their history helps explain how they developed. And their present-day status reflects a combination of historical events, legal developments, and modern administration. That's one reason these cities continue to attract attention from geographers, historians, and people who simply enjoy looking at maps. Because sometimes, the most interesting places aren't the biggest ones. They're the places that make you stop, look a little closer, and ask one more question. When most people picture Spain, they usually imagine Europe. When they picture Africa, they often imagine an entirely different continent. Ceuta and Melilla remind us that geography isn't always defined by first impressions. Sometimes, a few square miles of land can tell a story that stretches across centuries. A story shaped by coastlines, trade, changing kingdoms, and decisions that continued long after those moments became history. Today, these cities remain part of the modern world, while also reflecting layers of the past. Whether you see them as a geographic curiosity, a historical legacy, or simply two remarkable cities, they show that the world's map is often more detailed than it first appears. And perhaps that's what makes geography so fascinating. Not because every place has an easy answer, but because some places continue to invite new questions every time we look a little closer.